Boundaries build respect, and this truth is often overlooked in a world that praises constant friendliness. Many people grow up believing that the more agreeable they are, the more accepted they will become. They think that if they say yes often enough, smile even when they're uncomfortable, and never express disagreement, people will like them more. But the reality is far different. When you fail to set boundaries, you unintentionally teach others that your time, your energy, and even your dignity are negotiable. You show them that they can demand without limit, and you will deliver without question. Consider this: every strong relationship, whether personal, professional, or social, thrives not on constant friendliness, but on mutual respect. And respect is born when people understand where your lines are drawn. If you are always available, always accommodating, and never assertive, you may feel as though you are being kind, but to others, it can signal weakness. They may begin to see you as someone who can be used rather than someone who deserves respect. Boundaries act as invisible walls that protect your identity. Without them, you risk blending into the expectations of others until you no longer recognize yourself. Think about time. Time is the most valuable resource you have, and yet it is also the easiest to lose. When you say yes to every request, you surrender pieces of your time that could have been invested in your growth, your goals, or your well-being. People who lack boundaries often wonder why they feel drained or unappreciated. The answer is simple: if you do not protect your time, others will spend it for you. But when you establish limits, when you are able to say, "I cannot do this right now," or "I need space," you immediately communicate that your time has value. And when people see that you value your time, they begin to value it too. The same is true for emotional energy. You cannot give endlessly without replenishment. Being too friendly, too accommodating, can drain you of the emotional strength you need to face your own challenges. It may feel noble to always be the one who listens, who supports, who gives without receiving, but over time, this imbalance leaves you empty. Boundaries allow you to give in a healthier way. They ensure that your kindness comes from abundance, not exhaustion. When you preserve your emotional energy, the help you offer others becomes more genuine and impactful. Boundaries also create clarity in how people treat you. For example, in professional settings, the person who never refuses extra work may appear reliable, but over time, they are seen as someone who can be exploited. On the other hand, the person who sets limits while still performing with excellence is often admired and even promoted because they demonstrate self-respect and confidence. In personal relationships, when you make your needs and limits clear, you give others the chance to truly know you and treat you with fairness. Without boundaries, relationships can become one-sided, leaving you feeling invisible. Respect does not grow out of endless friendliness. It grows out of balance, kindness mixed with firmness, compassion mixed with discipline. When you draw boundaries, you are not pushing people away. You are teaching them how to engage with you in a way that is fair, healthy, and sustainable. You are saying, "I value myself, and I expect you to value me too." And people, whether consciously or not, respond to that strength. They may not always like your boundaries, but they will learn to respect them. So remember, setting boundaries is not selfish. It is essential. It is how you protect your worth, your time, and your energy. It is how you ensure that your kindness remains powerful rather than powerless. And ultimately, it is how you teach the world that you deserve respect, not because you are endlessly friendly, but because you value yourself enough to stand firm. Kindness and weakness are often mistaken for the same thing, but they are not. Kindness is a strength, a conscious choice to treat others with compassion, respect, and understanding. Weakness, on the other hand, is the inability to stand up for yourself, to speak your truth, or to protect your values when they are tested. The confusion between the two is one of the main reasons people end up being too friendly, thinking that by never saying no, by never disagreeing, and by always giving in, they are showing kindness. But in reality, they may simply be revealing weakness, and weakness is never respected. Kindness is powerful because it is intentional. It means you are strong enough to show care even when the world is harsh. It means you are secure enough in yourself to treat people with dignity regardless of how they treat you. Weakness, however, is different. Weakness makes you silent when you should speak. It makes you tolerate mistreatment because you fear conflict. It pushes you to please people even when it harms you. And the problem with being too friendly is that people often mistake your weakness for kindness, and in doing so, they exploit you. Imagine a workplace where one person is always smiling, always taking on extra tasks, never voicing concerns, and always trying to avoid disappointing anyone. At first, they may appear kind, but over time, colleagues begin to see them as the one who will always say ayes. They stop respecting their time and start piling responsibilities on them. Eventually, that person feels overwhelmed, invisible, and unappreciated. What looked like kindness was actually weakness disguised as friendliness. Contrast this with someone who is kind but firm. They help when they can, but they also know when to decline. They support their teammates, but they do not allow themselves to be taken advantage of. That person is respected because their kindness is backed by strength. The difference lies in boundaries and intention. Kindness has boundaries. It says, I will help you, but not at the expense of my values or my well-being. Weakness has no boundaries. It bends, it breaks, it allows others to cross lines without consequence. Kindness gives from a place of choice. Weakness gives from a place of fear, fear of rejection, fear of conflict, fear of being disliked. And when you give out of fear, you never truly give, you simply surrender. True kindness can actually involve being tough. It may mean telling someone a hard truth instead of letting them live in denial. It may mean saying no, so they learn to be responsible for themselves. It may mean holding firm even when they call you selfish or uncaring. That is not weakness. That is strength disguised as kindness. Weakness, however, avoids these situations. It prefers peace at any cost, even if that peace destroys your dignity. The world does not reward weakness, but it does reward strength wrapped in kindness. People respect those who are kind but clear, compassionate but courageous. They admire those who give generously but also know their worth. Weakness may bring temporary approval. You might be liked because you are easy to control, but it never brings lasting respect. Over time, people respect you not for how much you give in, but for how firmly you stand. So ask yourself when you are being friendly, is it kindness or is it weakness? Are you giving because you choose to or because you fear saying no? Are you helping because you want to or because you are afraid of being judged if you don't? The answer to those questions reveals the truth. Kindness uplifts, empowers, and strengthens both you and others. Weakness diminishes you and enables others to misuse your openness. Do not confuse the two. Be kind, yes, but never weak. Choose kindness with strength, not weakness with a smile. Growth requires discipline, and discipline often looks like the opposite of being overly friendly. Many people believe that success is about being liked by everyone, keeping peace at all costs, or saying yes to every opportunity. But real growth, whether personal or professional, demands focus, structure, and the courage to make difficult choices. Discipline means choosing long-term purpose over short-term approval, and that sometimes requires stepping away from excessive friendliness. When you are too friendly, you can lose track of your priorities. You may find yourself spending time on other people's problems instead of working on your own goals. You may accept distractions because you don't want to seem rude. Over time, those small choices add up, and suddenly your energy is scattered. Discipline is what keeps you aligned with your vision. It gives you the ability to say, I can't join you today because I need to work on my goals. Or, I can't accept this request because it doesn't align with my purpose. It is not arrogance. It is clarity. Discipline also creates consistency, and consistency is what separates growth from stagnation. Being too friendly can lead to inconsistency because you are constantly shifting to meet other people's expectations. You bend your schedule, your habits, even your values to keep others comfortable. But growth requires you to stay consistent with your own path, even if it means disappointing people. For example, if you are building a career or a business, you must have the discipline to keep learning, practicing, and refining your skills. If you spend every moment trying to please people, you sacrifice the very discipline that builds mastery. Another aspect of discipline is learning to say no. Many people associate now with negativity, but in reality, no is one of the most powerful tools for growth. Every time you say no to something that distracts you, you are saying yes to something that builds you. Saying no to gossip, no to toxic relationships, no to unnecessary obligations, and no to people who drain your energy, all of these are acts of discipline. They may make you less friendly in the eyes of some, but they also make you stronger, more focused, and more respected. Surroundings matter too. Discipline means carefully choosing the people around you. Growth does not come from surrounding yourself with those who exploit your friendliness or encourage you to settle for less. It comes from being around people who challenge you, who inspire you, who push you to rise higher. This sometimes requires walking away from people who do not share your vision, even if you care about them. That choice takes discipline, because it is never easy to distance yourself from comfort. Yet it is necessary if you want to move forward. Discipline also demands sacrifice. You cannot grow without giving something up. It might mean giving up late nights so you can wake up early to work. It might mean giving up the approval of people who don't understand your journey. It might even mean giving up being too friendly, because growth requires protecting your focus. Sacrifice is never easy, but it is the price of achievement. Without discipline, sacrifice feels like loss. With discipline, sacrifice feels like investment. In the end, growth is not about how many people like you. It is about how much progress you make, how strong you become, and how far you go toward fulfilling your purpose. Being too friendly may win you temporary smiles, But discipline will win. We have seen how boundaries build respect, how kindness must never be confused with weakness, and how true growth can only be achieved through discipline. These are not just ideas, they are life principles. If you live without boundaries, people will take more than you can give. If you confuse weakness for kindness, you will lose the respect you deserve. And if you lack discipline, you will spend your life busy but never fulfilled. The world does not need more people who are endlessly friendly but silently broken. The world needs people who are kind yet firm, compassionate yet strong, disciplined yet unshakable in their purpose. Do not let the fear of being disliked keep you from protecting your worth. Do not let the desire to please others distract you from your mission. Stop being too friendly. Be respectful, be kind, but also be bold enough to draw the line. Because the people who truly matter, the ones who truly value you, will respect you not for how much you bend, but for how firmly you stand. So go out there, live with strength, with clarity, and with discipline. And remember, popularity fades, but respect lasts a lifetime. Thank you.